try. It fit perfectly in the box. What a legend.
Hey.
I was going to say, because I don't need to crop anything, you're ready to go. Just give me the word and we can start the run.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Count me in, like 3, 2, 1, go.
3, 2, 1, go. Hello. Guess I need to do the talking.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know the game. You go.
Okay, well, hello everyone, welcome to
Are you
Okami.
sure? Because I'm not seeing anything but demo screen on my end.
Oh wait, yeah, sorry, I thought, okay, I thought you meant like, sorry, restart the timer. I thought I was live at 3, 2, 1, go. My bad.
No, you're live now, man.
You should have told me.
I moved you moved into the live room. Don't come into the live room without the expectation that you are live.
Fair enough.
Alright.
Arguing on stream, boys.
You're ready to begin the run.
Okay, okay. Hello everyone, welcome to Okami. This is New Game Plus, so I'm gonna go into the file select screen real quick. That was a nice little clusterfuck there. Oh wait, no swearing.
This marathon is so professional. You can swear, I don't care.
Okay. Yeah, I'm ready, so okay. In 3, 2, 1, go.
Video games. There we go. Take it away, buddy.
So, since this is New Game Plus, we're starting off of a fresh New Game Plus file. Seems legit. This is Okami. Okami is a game where you play a god, and you have lost all of your brush powers, and you're trying to retrieve them. However, the story doesn't matter, because we're gonna skip through everything and sequence break everything as well. So, prepare your butts and your pants, because we're gonna go fast. So we're gonna start off in the tutorial section. Here the game kind of explains you how everything works, and we're just gonna quickly skip and run through everything. We can skip cutscenes because this is New Game Plus. The only version where you can skip cutscenes in New Game as well is on the Wii version, but that's a bad version. Don't play it, please. So you might notice me having a little bit of flowers running after me. This is called speed. We like to have as much speed as possible for as long as possible, so we try to keep it. There's a special little technique I'm using, but first I need to explain the brush. This is the brush. Hello, brush. With a brush, you can manipulate the world around you. In this case, I drew a star and completed a constellation. By completing that constellation, I got myself a new brush power, or brush power back. In this case, restoration, which restores objects or places to their rightful glory, like this river, which we're gonna just cross real quick. Now, the thing about speed is that when you have like 3 modes of speed. You have just walking, you have normal speed, and you have full speed. You might notice that every time there's a long load or anything, I tend to just dash, because that gives you normal speed. And after about 10 seconds, you get full speed. Another thing I try to do is called speed restoration. Now, for some reason, when you jump into a cutscene, you will store your speed. There's no real reason to it, but your speed is stored. And if you jump out of it again without touching the analog stick on the ground, you will simply regain that speed. And it's really useful, and if you're a good runner, you'll do it like without even thinking. So, anyways, here we get ourselves the next brush power. This is Power Slash. This is what Power Slash does. It cuts things. Because right now we need this ability because we need to cut down a fruit. Maybe a little bit about the story. Currently, a demon that has been sealed for 100 years has been released. And it has stolen the souls of a village, and the souls are in a peach on a tree. And we need to cut down that peach to release the souls again, so it can progress. So now we're basically done with the tutorial area. I kind of forgot to mention that I just skipped 2 fights. I just do it without thinking now. The thing is with triggers in this game is that they are particularly small, so you can usually skip them by just walking around them or jumping over them, which is really useful. And we're gonna be doing that a lot throughout the runs. Yes, there's fights there. I don't think anyone who's seen my stream ever seen those fights in their lives. So here we're cutting down the peach, if I can do it quickly. So now we've released the soul of the village, and what the game expects you to do is to talk to some of the villagers who are encased in stone, and then you need to learn a new brush power, which you've technically already have, which is Sunrise. However, we're not going to do that. Sequence breaking is going to start right now, and it's going to start in a pretty big way. I'm going to be using a little glitch here. Keep your eyes open, because I'll explain it afterwards. First try, nice. So that was what we call a KT glitch, or a karmic transformer glitch, or infinite jumping, whatever you like. So what I just did was I switched a karmic transformer, which is basically a skin for your character, for Amy. And by doing that, and then on the first frame that you close out of the menu, pressing the square button or the dash button, you get a dash in mid-air, and off of that dash you can jump. So if you can just chain those together, you will get infinite jumps, which is really nice. And it completely breaks open this game. And makes it really fun, because after all, it is frame perfect. We actually tested it, it's frame perfect. So I actually know what I'm talking about. So here's the first fight of the game. We're gonna be cheesing the hell out of it. I'm gonna equip some items, and then I'm going to use an exorcism slip. Now, exorcism slips are something you can just get in general, but because of New Game Plus, we end up with about 50 or something, because they carry over from your previous playthrough. They deal a lot of damage to all the enemies in the battle arena, and that makes it very useful to cheese fights, and makes most fights kind of boring, if you ask me. They're over really quickly. There's a few other things that I equipped. I equipped a giant sword, you can see it. It has a charge attack, which deals a lot of damage, which makes it really useful. Also equip beads, as they're called. I'll be using those to like shoot like this, and those deal a lot of damage as well, and it's pretty useful to get that. The most important item, however, that I equipped is called the String of Beads. Also, I'm using a brush power I don't have right now. This is pretty funny. For some reason, Sunrise is the only brush power you never actually have to get to finish the game. In a sense that you actually need to use it, but you just can without ever getting it. So you'll never see the beautiful animation that is Sunrise. You'll just see a little circle fade away, and for some reason it triggers the effect that you need it. Which is pretty cool. But yeah, no, I'll get to that later actually. So this is Susano. Susano has a pretty fun little mini game where we go like this. So we cut all the torches down, while screaming his name, Susano, because we're anime like that. Exploding implosion, because that's totally how they work. So this is the ball. Ball is really annoying. It is a completely round object and has very precise collision check-in. So you need to really know what you're doing when pushing it around. and this is the bane of basically everyone that's ever played this game. Luckily we only have to push one ball this run, which is really nice. So here we're gonna use Sunrise again, even though we've never learned it. It is actually going... This is the animation that usually plays when you use Sunrise, but we'll never see that. So here we learn Bloom, and Bloom blooms trees. Now, the thing about this game is that the demon has caused certain cursed zones to appear, and those cursed zones, we need to clear them and to progress through the story. Also, I am skipping a fight here. I hope I can skip the fight here. Let's say that. Oh, that was really close. I almost hit the trigger for that fight. Damn. But yeah, we need to clear those cursed zones to be able to progress. English is hard. Through the game, and in doing so, and the way to do that is to bloom the guardian saplings. Now, the first thing you just saw me use bloom on was a guardian sapling, and we're going to quickly use it on this tree as well. We're going to bloom the next guardian sapling as well, let's say it like that. So there's the guardian sapling, and by blooming that, you see all that weird red-black stuff that will go away and allow us to continue on with the game. It's actually an awesome glitch where you could technically skip bloom, but it's really hard to do, and you get stuck having to get bloom anyway. So now we've bloomed this beautiful place called Shinshu Field, and the game expects you to do a lot of things, like a lot of things, to be able to continue to, as you can see in the little sign there, Agata Forest. However, we have an infinite jump glitch, so we're just going to jump up there. There we go. And by doing this, we just skipped getting to brush powers. So we don't need 2 specific brush powers right now, which is really nice. So Agata Forest is also cursed. Basically, every area is cursed once we, when we first enter it, and we need to bloom a tree to decurse it. Now, you're not supposed to be here, so you run into a cursed zone. Usually that doesn't really happen, that you have to run through one. So we need a specific brush power to get to the next guardian sapling. However, we skipped getting that one. So instead, I'm gonna try to get out of bounds here. There we go. And bloom the tree from out of bounds. Because you don't actually need to be in bounds. The way the brush checks if a brush power works is based on distance. So the closer you are to an object, the more chance you have of it working. Or the more chance, because you can mess up the actual drawing. So what I'm doing here is I'm skipping a very tedious cutscene and fight. Again, triggers are quite small in this game, so you can just jump around it. Which is really nice. Go. And next up, we're going to go up here. The only reason we really went there was to trigger what's called a mermaid spring. Mermaid springs are used for fast travel a little later on, so they're really useful to trigger. And then we're gonna leave Agata Forest. We're basically done here for now. We're gonna return later, and we're gonna do Liquid KT real quick. So a thing about KTs is that, or the infinite jump glitch, is that you can technically not do them above water because you cannot jump above water. However, if you do a dash like really close to the water, For some reason, if you switch your karmic transformers and just press the X button as you exit the menu, you can just jump. No idea why that works, but it works, so that makes for a very useful glitch. So again, we need a specific brush power to get to where we need to go. Well, there we go. And we skip that brush power, so we're gonna improvise a little bit and jump up here. Now, as you can see on the map, on the top right there, there's the tree. However, for some real weird reason, we need to go here first. Why? Because the game apparently checks for it. It makes no real sense, but the game checks for it. So we need to go here, and we need to fight Waka. Now, it's a pretty easy fight. That was the fight. So, why was this fight so easy? Well, first of all, we got an endgame weapon, and second of all, we have what's called the string of beads. The string of beads gives you infinite health and allows you to use the brush infinitely. Also, it raises your attack power of your weapons by 10 times. So, most fights are gonna look like that, where I just one-hit enemies all the time. There is a neat little optimization you can do with that, but with that even still, but it's still just one-hitting enemies usually. So now that we've defeated Waka, we can finally bloom the tree. Fun little fact, there is actually one version where you do not need to defeat Waka before blooming the tree. And for some reason, it is the Japanese Wii version. And that's literally the only version. Only the Japanese Wii version is able to do that. And why? We have no idea. It doesn't work on the English Wii versions. It's weird like that. So now that we've bloomed Taka Pass, we're going to move over a little bit to the next area. Actually, no. We're actually gonna do a few things in this area for once. First things first, this is a demon gate. When you run under it, a fight spawns. You cannot run from this fight, as with some other fights. So we're gonna quickly defeat the guys here. Well, we need to defeat them anyways, so. Here we go. So here we get another mermaid spring. Again, this is a fast travel point that we're setting up for later on. And now we're gonna go over to Sasa Sanctuary. Now the game expects you to go up to Kusa Village and start a very long fetch quest. However, we're gonna completely skip that, because that takes a long time. So we're just gonna go into Sasa Sanctuary instantly. And there's a neat thing about this game that I'm gonna show you real quick. We're gonna first jump over the loading zone here. Here we go. And then we're gonna jump out of bounds. There we go. Needed to fix my angle real quick. 3, 2. So, there we go. A thing about this game is that interior areas are always below exterior areas. So, basically by going out of bounds like that and just letting ourselves fall, we fell into the interior of Sasa Sanctuary, allowing us to get to here way quicker than you're supposed to. And now we're gonna do a digging game. So, the digging game is quite simple. We need to get this old dude all the way to the bottom of this well to dig up a fountain. We also have a bark button. It's a very important thing to mention. So by digging up this new hot spring or fountain, we get ourselves a new brush power. And the new brush power we get is called Water Spout. And you can use it to control water or create water pillars. So the thing is about Sasa Sanctuary is that it has a gate, so we can't actually go back through the entrance. So instead we need to escape Sasa Sanctuary like this. Just jump over the side. And real quick, I am afraid to announce that this specific New Game Plus file never got Brown Rage. So I can only do Golden Shower. I'm very sorry. Golden Fury. I'm very sorry. So now that we got Water Spout, we can continue on to the next part of the game. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna perform a very very boring little glitch that seems very stupid and doesn't really seem to do much. But by doing this little glitch, we skip about 10 minutes of dungeon. Or this little glitch. So we're gonna swim to the other side of this river. And I'm gonna skip lowering the bridge by going into this corner and doing what's called corner glitch. So when you swim into a corner, for some reason the game allows you to auto jump, or it doesn't auto jump for you. And we can use that to our advantage. And get to the other side way earlier than we're supposed to. Like so early that even the buildings do not have like polygons on the other side of them. You're never supposed to be here this early. This is what I meant with sequence breaking when I started. So this is Ryoshima Coast. Again, it's cursed, so we're gonna quickly find the tree and we're gonna bloom it. Now there's a fight on the road up ahead, so instead of going towards the fight, we're gonna run through this curse zone real quick, and we need to do that fast, otherwise we will quote-unquote die. Just to skip that fight. And then we're gonna jump up here because we still do not have the brush power that we actually need. So we're gonna go over here. We're gonna skip one of the basins. Saves 5 seconds or so, probably longer. And then we're gonna go up here. So we need to bring the water up here because here's our sad little sapling. He needs a little bit of water. Bloop. And then it'll grow into a very big tree. And we're gonna bloom that very big thank you tree. So we can restore this area. So, a while back, I mentioned that internal areas are below external areas. So, a very fun thing is coming up. This is very easy. First try. That was stair clip. We do not know why it works. We just know that running into the stairs at that specific angle and with speed is usually better. We can clip through and fall into this area. There we go. This is a dojo. You can learn all kinds of cool moves here. And we're gonna learn probably the best move for speedrunning. We're gonna learn what's called Holy Eagle, or in the normal English, double jump. So this basically cuts the amount of infinite jump glitches we have to do in half, which is crazy. That saves a lot of time and a lot of effort, I can tell you that much. So up until now, this entire speedrun has actually been trying to get to this point as quickly as we can, because double jump is just that good for us. Do another quick little liquid KT to save some time. And then we're going to continue on. So there's a giant city to the right of us right now. But we're going to skip going in there for a very long time. We do not really need to do anything in there, other than trigger some story later on. So instead we're going to go to this area. So you're supposed to talk to the queen and get a key so you can go through the gate and everything, but instead we're just going to jump over the gate and into the loading zone. And we're going to go straight into the northern Ryoshima coast. Now we've been at it for about 25 minutes. I'd say that's pretty fast. And here's Waka telling us that we're so slow that he already bloomed the tree for us and the cursed zone is already gone. Damn you, Waka. I will never live up to your expectations. Waka is the true speedrunner here. So a thing about Mermaid Springs real quick. They are the fast travel point of this game. But to use them you need to buy mermaid coins. And right now the only place we can buy them is right here with this guy. So we just buy 11 and we're done. So basically we need all the mermaid, we have all the mermaid coins that we need right now. There we go. And now we're gonna summon one of the best characters in this game by, again, using Sunrise without actually having it. This is Orca. Orca is awesome. And the only reason we really put him there is to set him up for later on. So that's just set up for when we get back here. Right now we don't actually need to be there. So we're gonna go and travel using the Mermaid Springs. And we're gonna go back to Taka Pass. So when I mentioned that we were starting in Taka Pass, the game expects you to go all the way up to Kusa Village, or as Sid likes to call it, Kuso Village. Let's go and do that now, because there's something they have there that I would very much like. So there's a very weird curse going on in Kusa Village. As you can see, we've got weird Japanese text floating around and the color seems somewhat dim. And my flowers are all wilted. So, in this place, technically slowly your ink, which you use to use your brush, is draining, but because we have infinite ink, it actually doesn't drain. Which is pretty funky. But we still can't use the brush in here. But we don't really need to. This is Priestess Fusei or Princess Fusei. She can probably deal with all this on her own, so we're just gonna leave her alone. And we're gonna go straight into Gil Shrine. We're actually finally going into our first dungeon. Here we go. So, a fun thing about dungeons in this game is they tend to be on the same map. So because of that, we can do something funky in here. So, you're supposed to do the giant fetch quest to get into the dungeon and everything. So you can get a new brush power called Gillstorm. But that is really slow. It takes a long time, it's very annoying, there's RNG involved, nobody likes RNG. So instead we're just gonna jump out of bounds for a very long time. This is what we as runners like to call Gillstorm, and it is very tedious. So we got outside of the box, and we need to go all the way up there, basically. This is gonna take a while. So currently I'm aiming like slightly to the left of that white thing, because that's about where I need to go. So we're gonna do that. So this might seem slow, but this is going to take me about 8 minutes to complete, and and by doing this, it saves us at least 5 minutes. Probably more, but I don't think anyone's ever properly timed it. But it's a really, really big skip, this. Even though it's very annoying and tedious. So a thing you might have noticed me doing with this Karmic Transformer glitch, or the Infinite Jump glitch, is that the first couple of frames after I close the menu, I quickly reopen and close it again. This is what we like to call buffering. It's not actually buffering any inputs or anything, but we just give ourselves a single frame to look at real quick to see if we've actually got it. So we can let it go. Dang it. Or try a new one. The reason why we do that is because if you don't, there's a very big chance you're gonna lose a lot of height, rather than losing like 1 or 2 frames of height. And this makes doing the infinite jump glitch a little bit more consistent than purely frame perfect. You can do them bufferless. It's actually a thing we're moving towards on the top level. I'm currently not good enough for that yet. I need to be a little bit more consistent with my KTs again before I'm confident in doing bufferless KTs. As you can see. Oh my god. So right now that blue thing in the distance, that is the base of the dungeon that we're actually trying to get to. It's a giant windmill, and we're trying to get basically to the top. Also, a very random thing to say right now, but why do I always do Gillstorms when it's really hot? I'm sweating. So some of you might be wondering, how many times do I need to do this? Well, if I do things well, 100 times in a row. If I don't, every time I fail basically I need to try again, for instance, and if I drop too much, a couple of more, but we usually go by 100. So I need to successfully do 100 frame perfect tricks in a span of 8 minutes. Which is honestly quite tedious, because at a certain point this just becomes a timing trick, and you can do it really without thinking. So if you look right now, a couple of the polygons have disappeared in the distance, and we can see the giant windmill. If we get a little bit closer to the other polygons right there, we're going to see the entire thing, and we're also going to be able to see our actual goal. There we go. So you see that little platform sticking out in the distance there? That's our goal. That's where we're trying to get to. That's what we've been trying to get to for the past probably about 6 or 7 minutes. Now, for any of you aspiring Okami runners in the chat, or watching the stream, don't be too discouraged. This is not as difficult as it seems. It's just very tedious. You can do a different route, which doesn't have this specific skip. It uses the old route without this skip. It still uses KTs. It's slower, yes, but it's a good way to practice a run because a lot of the strats are still the same. They're just you do different things. And if you really are averse to doing this, there is a New Game Plus no KT category as well recently. But that's mostly a Japanese thing. Or you can always run the best category in this game, called New Game Plus brushes. So now that the music has changed, I'm gonna change the camera. And we're gonna start setting up for another glitch. Right at the end of this infinite jump glitch palooza. So, now that we're close enough to the platform, you can see that the platform is octagonal. And... oh, come on, give me a KT. Thank you. And we're trying to trigger a certain cutscene right now. Too bad I couldn't get it first try. There we go. So, the trigger that I'm talking about is circular. So if you hit the platform invisible walls at a certain moment, you can actually trigger the trigger this whole thing without actually being on the platform. So real quick, I filled the first brush part, so I would void out. This is very important. If I don't do this, I will softlock this game in a really, really hard way. Also, I need to do this one blind. First try. So why did I do that? Well, you can kind of see it right here. By voiding out, you go back to the last place you were actually standing on the ground. Now where was that? 8 minutes ago, the last time I was actually standing on solid ground was when I was standing at the start of the dungeon. So instead of having to backtrack through the entire dungeon, I just start back at I just go back to the start and we leave. Easy as that. That void warp saves about 45 to 50 seconds. It's really nice and I really enjoy doing it. Gives me to take a little bit of a break. Even though Guildstorm is quite tedious to do, it is also very exhausting to do because you need to have proper focus throughout, which is really really hard. So the thing is with most dungeons is once you enter them, you can just leave. So that's what we did just now. There's still a boss of the dungeon that we technically need to beat, but in the end, we don't actually have to. You can just skip beating it. Doesn't really matter. So now we're gonna go back to Gada Forest where we set up the fast travel points, like all the way back at the beginning of the run. And we're gonna go over. So the thing is in Agata Forest, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to talk to that little twerp over there. You can see him because he's not loaded. And you need to fish up the key to the dungeon to be able to enter it. That's what the game expects you to do. However, we have this awesome infinite jump glitch that we're just gonna abuse the hell out of. If only I could do it. This is the Gilstorm curse. When you have a good Gilstorm, you will always have bad KTs through this section of the run. So here we just jump over the gate and we land in into the loading zone of the dungeon all the way to back into Tsuta Ruins. Now there's only really one thing we need from Tsuta Ruins, so we're just gonna jump to it. We need to get to the center of Tsuta Ruins, but currently that is locked. So we need to unlock it real quick. And we do that by going all the way up here. Go. Jump over invisible walls, and we're gonna go over here. Now to continue to actually unlock the center, we need to defeat these demon gates first. And again, because we have these awesome items called exorcism slips, they just become quite easy. Charge up some speed. I have a need for speed. So coming up here is what's called cutscene skip. I'm gonna try and get it. And we didn't get it. So we can skip this entire cutscene that lasts about 18 seconds. However, the window to skip it is like 1 frame. And we haven't found any consistent setup for it yet, so we just mash and pray. And if you get lucky, well, you gain 18 seconds. If you get unlucky, you lose 18 seconds. It's kind of stupid. Nice, first try pots. So the game expects you to like walk all the way around and cut down these pots so we can unlock the center area of the dungeon. But you can just jump towards it and then slash it from a distance, which is quite nice. And here we go into the center of the dungeon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm gonna bloom these patches real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Usually count about 6 circles. That seems to work for me. 3, 4, 5, 6. And in doing so, we're gonna get a new brush power. This one is called Vine. Now what it does is that it pulls Ami or certain objects to these flowers. and we needed to defeat a certain boss all the way at the end of the game. If that boss wasn't there, we could skip getting this brush power. Same with just about most of the brush powers we're getting right now. See, this does reach. Nice. So the reason I jumped over there is to skip a cutscene. It's about a 20-second cutscene that basically like shows you where you are, shows you this is Tsuta ruins and everything. It's like an establishing shot, and it takes a long time. So we just jump over the trigger. Ain't nobody got time for that. So now we need to go and trigger a couple of story beats before we can continue on. Continue on to the next dungeon. That's basically our goal right now. We need to go to the next dungeon where the next brush power is. So we need to set up a couple of things before we can actually get into that dungeon. First thing we need to do is we need to go back to Shinshu Field. Haven't been here in a while. It's still beautiful. I'm gonna jump down here into this little hut. This is Mika's hut, or shrine, or whatever. This is Mika. Hello, Mika. So Mika gives us a list of monsters that are raging around in Shinshu Field at night. And we need to, he wants us to basically get them, basically just kill them all and cross them off the list. Now the only reason we're really doing this is because it gives you a small tutorial on how to do it, and in doing so it turns to night. And that's the only thing we're really after. We're trying to get the game to be in night right now. Now we could wait for nighttime, but that just takes forever. Nice. So instead we just go over here and quickly do this. So we're gonna go through this demon gate again. A lot of lag. So I'm actually playing this game on 720p, because if I play the game in 1080p it has a tendency to lag more. Now it's not very important because we go by in-game time, and the in-game timer is good enough to actually remove lag frames, which is really nice. But it does create a couple of annoyances while running the game. So I tend to play the game in a slightly lower resolution, making the gameplay a little bit more smooth. So before we did that giant jumping section, we set up Orca. Now that it's night, we're finally gonna use him. That was a horrible jump. So this is Orca. Hello, Orca. Orca is gonna carry us over to Watch Your Escape. Whee. Now what you're supposed to do right now is to get a certain brush power so you can get up this cape. However, we have an infinite jump glitch. Now remember that a while back I mentioned that you cannot jump above water. So instead of jumping above water, we jump above Orca. And I'm currently not above Orca anymore, so we're gonna set that back up. I'm a little bit too close to the island, so that is messing up the jump a little bit. So we're gonna do it like that. Here we go. So right now we're gonna draw a little star for our watcher right here, and he's gonna wish us a galaxy. This is the Whirlpool Galaxy. We need it to continue to the next area, but it needs to spin. So how do you make a galaxy spin? By summoning wind. Of course. That makes all the sense in the world. There's no flaw in this logic. So, by letting the Whirlpool Galaxy spin, we create a whirlpool in the water. Don't question it. That's how it works. And we're gonna swim into that whirlpool. Because below that whirlpool is the Dragon Palace. Now, why do we need to go to the Dragon Palace? Now, there is this dragon, this water dragon, which is really big, that's been terrorizing the waters of Ryushima Coast. And we would like to put a stop to it. And we know that its home is right here in the Dragon Palace. So we're gonna sneak our way in. You're actually supposed to go in and talk to the queen and everything, but that just takes too long. So instead, we're gonna jump over this invisible wall and go out of bounds. And here is a giant dragon, or at least a small bit of it. And we're gonna jump into its mouth. So this is the inside of the dragon. It's quite a tranquil place. I cannot talk today. Here we go. We're gonna go over here and grab this key. And we're gonna jump over here, and by using this little pillar, we're gonna go back up. But you know what? I'm not sure if I need this key. Let's just drop it. Yeah, it'll be fine. I don't even know why I grabbed it. Oh hey, it just returned back into my mouth. That's nice. No idea how that works, by the way, but it works. So, the game designers here were a little bit lazy. You're supposed to go all the way to the back and release gastric acid. However, we can just release this little orb using water spout. Because the game only really checks if you're using water spout, yes or no. It doesn't check if you're actually using water or anything. So we can just release it by using water spout. And we do it like this, so we can just go in and skip a bunch of cutscenes in a row. And then we're going to go into this fight against the Fox Rods. Again, just... Whoa! I mistimed. That's a new one. I'm not sure what's gonna happen now. No, we're fine. Okay. I usually don't mistime that one. That was weird. So now that we've gotten the Dragon Orb and defeated the Fox Rods, well, the Dragon's stomach has had quite enough. So right now, all these little drops that you see falling are acid, and if we get hit, we kind of stop dead in our tracks. And if we get unlucky right here during this jumping part, because I cannot dodge them, but we didn't, we lose a lot of time. But again, we got lucky and we just jumped perfectly fine. So this happens basically. It loses a little bit of time when you do it on land, and if you fall into the water, you lose a lot of time. Here we go. So now that we got the orb, I think we should go to the queen and tell her like, hey, we got your orb. Don't think the water dragon's gonna be a nuisance anymore. So we talked to the queen real quick. Hello, queen. And bye, queen. So the orb before going to rest or whatever it does, it shows us a vision of one of our friends that we never even met to appear being attacked by the current big enemy, also referred to as the Dark Lord, because of course we need a Dark Lord. So we're gonna go and try and save her. Save the twins. So usually when I do this in a marathon run, along the way here I like to show off a really nice, really funny trick with the KTs. So we're gonna grab this horse real quick, we're gonna switch KT and whee! There we go. We call that a telekinetic grab. It has absolutely no purpose, but we love doing it. It's so funny. I like to show that off. So, our friend that is in need lives in that temple over there, so we're gonna head over there. But instead of going through the front gate, which triggers a couple of cutscenes, we're gonna jump over here to avoid those triggers, because, again, triggers are quite small in this game. We do, however, need to trigger the final cutscene right here, because that allows us to enter into the next area. So we're gonna go through this wall into this well. Whee! So we've currently entered Scion City. Now the thing is about Scion City is that this is the first time we've actually been in here, so it shows us that little cutscene, which currently to us has very little bearing. But because this is the first time we enter, we get to see that. So this transports us to the palace of Queen Himiko. And, well, she's probably in trouble, so let's check it out. What's going on over there? Now the thing is, I'm supposed to have a certain item here so I can swim through, well, a giant pool of lava. However, lava counts as a liquid, so we can just jump over it using liquid KTs, which is awesome. If I do land in it, however, I will die a fiery death, but death doesn't mean much in this game, luckily. So here we found Himiko dead, and our friend happens to be the Dark Lord, so we're gonna beat her. Sadly, she isn't dead yet, or he isn't dead yet in this case, and has gone back to its hideout, and its hideout will disappear at the end of the day, so we need to quickly go over there. 2, 3. To be able to go into that dungeon. I had a feeling that was too high. So if you're too high for liquid KTs, this will happen. You will just not do them and fall into the liquid you're trying to jump over. That seems too high again. This should work. That was kind of close. Nope. Excuse me. So we're gonna go over to the dungeon. Now the dungeon is all the way, let's go in here. All the way in northern Ryushima coast, so we're gonna go over there real quick. So here we're gonna meet Waka again. Now the thing is about that Waka is, he usually stops you from continuing onwards, But because we come from the other side than he's used to, he doesn't actually stop us at all, which is really nice. Again, this will be the first time we're entering this part of Scion, so we get this little cutscene again. It's a nice little quiet moment. Quiet moment where we need to hurry. So again, we need to get over that cloudy thing in the background there. That is our next dungeon. So we need to go over there. And the way we do that, of course, is by jumping. Oh god. There we go. My hands are really sweaty. I need to wipe them down for a bit. But how are we going to get over there? Well, we got our good friend Queen Otohime, which is the queen of the Dragon Palace, who is going to use the Dragon Orb to turn into the Water Dragon herself, which gives us the ability to travel over to Oni Island, which is roughly translated Demon Island. And that is our next dungeon. So right at the start of the dungeon, instead of going through the trouble of actually going into the dungeon, we're gonna jump over here. There we go. And we're gonna run on the outside real quick. Dang it. Some people call this labyrinth skip. I guess that works, because the inside is quite the labyrinth. Whee. Oh, that's bad. That is a battery warning. In case you guys can't read Japanese, I mean. Did I almost say Chinese there? Wow. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to keep as high as possible by doing green hops. So the moment I land, I jump again. And we want to get over there. Oh. And I'm going to restore this real quick, and in the meantime, I do not have that cable attached. Well, it should be fine. We should be fine, hopefully. I don't know where the cable is. That's bad. I need to find it real quick soon. So here we got a new brush power. This is Thunderstorm. Now what Thunderstorm does is... Nice, we got lucky. Is we can control lightning with it, which is really awesome. So normally when we do these kinds of things by going into dungeons and getting the brush power is we're gonna leave again. However, this dungeon, the way you leave basically creates a soft lock. So we actually need to go and finish this dungeon. So the thing about most of the dungeons in this game is, again, everything is on the same map. So we just abused that to get over to this part, which we would have gotten to if we would have continued on the path, but going on the path is slow, so instead we're just doing this. Skipping another brush power. If I could actually get to KT, that would be nice. Thank you. I'm gonna wait a little bit here so I can jump over here. This is really slow. Oh, come on. Get down. Nice. We didn't really end up losing time because we would have had to wait for that bamboo thing to spin anyways. So that was pretty nice. And by entering the key, we started like a kind of a timer for cycles. So we can just take it easy right here and just take our time to get over here, because we have to wait for this thing regardless. I'm gonna try and get a 1 cycle here, so let's go. I messed it up on the second to last one. Damn. Still really fast. That was nice. So the thing is about Oni Island is that it's a bit of a labyrinth. Because of that, it's hard to explain what I'm actually doing. Let's just say I'm going fast right now. That'll do fine. And we're gonna meet the best character of this game, objectively. Everyone who thinks this is not the best character in the game is dead wrong. This is Toby. Hello, Toby. Toby is a scrap of paper that races us through this dungeon. And he is a true speedrunner at heart. Such a true speedrunner, in fact, that when he is beaten for the final time, he dies. However, we skip the final race, so we will never kill Toby. So, we never kill the best character in this game. Which is awesome. So, this is going to the final boss. To the boss of this area. Of this dungeon. And the boss is kind of pretentious, so we need to summon it by constellation. This is Ninetales. Now what we do with Ninetales is we first hit him, then we shock him, and then he splits up into 5 different parts. Now for the first one we're looking for the fat one, and killing it first because it has more health than the other ones, which requires us to hit it just a little bit more rather than just being able to use a slip. So we do that 2 times. On the second one we're looking for the old one, and then we've dissipated his powers and we can just one-shot it. There we go. That was Ninetales. It's a very annoying fight casually, but like this, it's not too hard. So now we've collected all the brush powers we need to finish the game. So guess what we're going to do now? We're going to finish the game. Waka appeared there real quick to tell us like, hey, there is lightning in Shinshu Field. You should probably check it out. And so we're going to. Get this movement real quick. And we're going to go over to the Mermaid Spring. So, you see that giant dome there? To open the door there, you need to hit it with lightning. However, the loading zone is already there. So, technically, what you could do is you could go out of bounds here in Shinshu Field. Ah, I missed. I missed again. There we go. And you could get to the final area of the game within 30 minutes. However, you cannot actually beat the game because you need certain brush powers to do so. But if you could skip needing to get all those brush powers, you can finish the game in about 30 to 40 minutes, which is pretty crazy. But yeah, now we're gonna go to the final area of the game. It's gonna get a little chilly. I would love some chili right now. It's so warm here. There we go. This is Kamui. It's been stricken by a deadly blizzard, even for Kamui standards, because they're used to the cold, but still. And there's still a cursed zone right here, so first things first, we need to find a tree and bloom it. Now, I happen to know where the tree is. You haven't seen it yet, but it's right there in the giant stone. So the way you have to basically do it is you have to light one of the arrows with lightning, and then you can bloom the tree, but we can just go under it and bloom the tree while it's still inside of the rock. So yeah. Right now, coming up right next is a potential soft block. So I'm gonna take my time a little bit and play this one safely. I'm gonna go straight up once. I'm gonna go forward. We're currently in danger zone. Here we go. Nice. So there's a trigger there for a fight that you cannot escape, which you need a certain brush power for to be able to beat. However, we skipped getting that brush power, so if we get into that fight, we will never be able to finish that fight. Basically giving us a soft lock. We can't do anything but stop. And for actual runs, that means game over. Because we go by in-game timer, and saving actually screws up the in-game timer. So yeah, hitting that soft lock is pretty big. I had a save file ready just in case. Just in case I hit the soft lock. So now we're in Web here. We're gonna not be here for a very long time. We're skipping like giant parts of the story right now. There's like a very enormous amount of story that is supposed to happen in this area, but we're just gonna skip it. Here we go. And we're just gonna go to this area. So this part of the game, as a Fuchi, is very special. And there's another part lazy. So you see this giant boat over there? Right at the end of the story, the boat floats into the air, and you're gonna try and get into it. So here's the lazy part. Give me about 6 KTs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ooh, I probably need to do that 1 extra now. 5. Wow. I think it's still on 5, but I'm not sure if that's the actual height. These are the final KTs of the game, and I'm failing them. There we go. So, the part of the laziness of the game designers is the fact that they put the loading zone already all the way up there. So it's there the moment you enter the area. So all we really have to do is to jump into the loading zone. And here we are in the Arc of Yamato, which is the final area of the game. However, this is still going to take a little bit of a while because this area is a boss rush. And it's a boss rush of bosses we've never actually seen in this game, in this run, rather. So the first boss is Blight. Now you're supposed to have a certain brush power called Mist, which slows down time. But we don't actually need it to beat him, so I'm gonna show you how. So we just dodge this one. And then he's gonna summon some swords. Ow. And then one hit him. There we go. And on to the next boss. So these spirits you see there in front of the doors basically tell you a lot of the backstory of the arc, and basically at this point of the game everything just kind of falls into place when it comes to the story. Luckily we skip everything so nobody's gonna get spoiled, because this is a beautiful game and I think everyone should play it. So this is Orochi. Orochi has a very cool strat, which I really enjoy doing, so we're just gonna do it real quick. So first we trigger Earth to do his attack. And for some reason, when you do that, it allows the other heads to do their attacks. So that way we can get 3 heads.
Shit! What? Sorry, the donation tracker unfucked itself while I was sleeping.
Nice!
And now my phone is also going apeshit. Sorry to butt in like that. I woke up. I woke up and was like trying to get my bearings and looked at the donation and I'm like, oh shit, well it's working now.
Nice.
Oh god. Sorry, continue.
So yeah, you're supposed to get 3 heads water spouted, like so. And this is not really intended, this way of doing it. And we're gonna quickly use a slip to get into the next phase. Now in the next phase we need to hit the heads, and we're quite overpowered, so we just one-shot every single head. And it just becomes proper timing, and hope to get lucky. Because you see all that fire falling, well, that's completely luck-based where they fall. So if we get bad luck, we're gonna lose some time. It's kind of annoying, like that. There we go. Oh, I did a dash. Nice. Got the 1-frame dash. The wrong direction, but still the 1-frame dash. Oh, there we go. And now we're gonna go on to the next boss. Your keystrokes are audible, by the way.
Oh, sorry.
So this boss is Spider Queen, and we're going to need a vine to beat her. And it's gonna be really awesome. I'm gonna try and do this without landing. Well, I'm gonna land eventually, but... So by vinding over there, we're kind of manipulating the camera to do some nice things for us, but kind of was late on a few things. There we go. We need to bind her with 3 vines and then use 2 slips to beat her. There we go. Hard fight. So as you might have noticed, I tend to be very close to the portal every time. I've kind of memorized where the portals like kind of appear, so we don't really have the problem of having to find them. It's just pretty nice. now on to the next boss that you've never seen before. So the thing is about this boss rush is that every single boss that we fight here, you have technically, if you play the game casually, you have fought those bosses before. But because we skip, because we have awesome glitches that sequence break everything, there's only one boss that we cannot actually skip. Hello? There we go. That was a very poorly executed Crimson Helm. You're supposed to use a slip, walk up to him. You're supposed to use a slip, use Gilstorm, walk up to him and hit him. But I messed that up a little bit. Oh, there we go. So now we're going to move over to the final boss of the boss rush, which is one that we've actually seen before. Finally. So we're gonna fight Ninetales again, and the strat is basically the same. So we just walk up to him, shoot him, oh, shock him, then he splits, and we're gonna hit the fat one, then the old one, and every time we're gonna use a slip. Three, two, one. So now we're gonna go over here and grab the old one, because the old one and the fat one don't die in a single slip, so we need to find them and hit them. So here we're actually gonna use a slip. This is basically for safety, because we cannot perfectly time our beats easily, so we just use a slip to make the fight a little bit more consistent. I think it's like 1 or 2 seconds slower to do that, but the consistency is worth it. Excuse me. So now that we've beaten all the bosses in the arc becomes nice and blue. I'm gonna go over to the final boss of the game, finally. Now, a quick public service announcement before we go into this boss. What you're gonna see here is a speedrun strat. Please, and I mean please, when you play this casually, do not try and beat this boss like this, because it's not the way you should fight it. So this is Yami. Yami is a giant ball. So this boss strat is really cheesy and involves using a lot of slips, and it makes the boss fight basically an auto-scroller. Because the way the boss fight works is that at the start of the boss fight you lose all your brush powers, and by hitting him you retrieve them. We even retrieve the brush powers we never actually got, for instance. However, because we are so overpowered, we just quickly go into getting the powers back and into phase after phase, which basically makes this boss fight an auto-scroller. Which is really sad, because this is really one of the best designed bosses you will ever see, in my opinion. So for instance here, Yami in this phase no longer has any health. It is technically dead, but we have to go through the motions here because the game forces us to retrieve our brush powers. So we just need to quickly get him to give us his brush powers and then continue. Damn it, almost too fast. Can even hit him more. It's kind of useless, but... So now we're going to use what's called an ink bullet to go into the next phase. It's just a little tap. And then we're going to rig the lottery. Because we're cheaters. How do we rig the lottery, you say? We use 5 exorcism slips. And then we wait. There we go. Perfect. And we got ourselves a new an old brush power back. Oh, this one. You can see I tend to get a little bored here. Whee. So now we got the final brush power from this phase. We're gonna use another slip to go into the 4th phase, which is the second to last phase, luckily. So to start off this phase, we're gonna do something radical. We're gonna use 2 slips. And then we're gonna use 2 more slips. Guess what we're going to do next? We're gonna use 2 more slips. Oh, ain't that special. And just because using 2 slips all the time is very boring, we're gonna finish it off by using 3 slips. And going into the final phase. Get ready on time. So in this phase, it's lights out until we draw the sun, which we still didn't get the beautiful animation for, and time! So we're gonna quickly... Yeah, we're gonna quickly skip through these cutscenes because they add to the in-game timer. We tend to go by in-game... Oh, that's the wrong button. We tend to go by in-game time in this game. So we're gonna see the in-game time is a 1:26:11, which is a pretty good run for what I want. So yeah, that was Okami, New Game Plus 20%. I hope you guys enjoyed. Not sure what runs up next, but it's probably gonna be a fun one.
Up next we have Bleed 2 by Studio.
Cool.
The
So,
game where you shoot the air and slow down time a lot.
ooh, that sounds awesome. So, thanks everyone for watching, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the marathon.
Thanks for being here, dude.
Glad to be here.
Okay, I'm gonna cut to intermission now.